I'm always locked in. So any chance I get, to let somebody know that they can't me, it really doesn't matter.
As a Texans fan, I gotta tell you, I'm shivering in my boots. Cam Ward is cut from a different cloth. He's a different type of player, right? And that comes a lot from the way that he got here. Now, if you don't know, Cam Ward started off at a wing T school. No, I'm not talking about Incarnate Ward, son. I'm talking about his high school. He wasn't even allowed to get any burn or any show that, hey, I can sling the ball, because he was in a goddamn offense from 1927, all right? So he does that, grinds at Incarnate Ward FCS, grinds at Wazoo in one of the most explosive offenses in the league, right? And gets two of his wide receivers, one of them that was considered to be one of the best wide receivers in the draft the same year he was considered a day 2 guy, goes to Miami with one of the best offensive lines in the nation and gets no wide receivers drafted. Then this is a positive to Cam Ward, and lights it up with a Heisman finalist performance at one of the most prestigious schools with some crazy moments. Hey, side note, if you have time, go on the ACC network and watch Miami versus Cal, Miami versus Louisville, any Miami game. Just go watch it. It's phenomenal. Watch Miami, Georgia Tech last. Now, what does Cam Ward have to say about playing the game of football? I think we all know.
I'm always locked in. Trash talk, it'll never mean nothing to me. It won't get to me some type of way. I'm just somebody who likes doing it. And so what's the point of playing something that you love? You can't have fun with it. So, that's where it comes from. But, I love the game. And so any chance I get, to let somebody know that they can't.
Whoa! Sorry, YouTube doesn't like that word. Had to stop it right there. But I love them, They can't F with me. Now, this is what I mean by different cloth, right? You go through all those things, you go through a lot of trials and tribulations, and we're going to actually, look at some different stats and facts, and some of those stats and facts and accolades include, wait, where are the accolades? Well, we're going to get deeper into them. Some of those also include the Davey O'Brien Award, the Manning Award, ACC Player of the Year Award, Consensus All-American, First Team All-ACC just this last year. So what does Greg Ossel have to say about a certain arrogance that Cam Ward? Nah, we ain't gonna go too deep into it. We ain't gonna go too deep into it. Hey, now, Fudd, they gonna hate on you no matter what. I ain't gonna go too deep into it. But what I will say is that it's interesting the way that arrogance can be repackaged for certain people. Okay, I'm gonna just say that. But let's hear it.
Things that always stand out to me when I watch quarterbacks in these kinds of settings is when they make a bad play, particularly if they're rookies, is what happens next. Because I think that's what happens in games. Rookie quarterbacks make bad plays, and then what happens next? And I just, the demeanor and the confidence. There's an athletic arrogance to Cam Ward that is really impressive. And they're a better team. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're going to be 13-4, but they're a better team than they were a year ago. They've solidified the offensive line with some veterans. They've got some holes on defense that it will take training camp to work out.
Now, I think there's two things to say here, right? First off, he's talking about athletic ignorance. So the nonchalant TikToks y'all be seeing, or the nonchalant memes that y'all been seeing about Cam Ward, that's what he's alluding to, right? And that's why I stress, please go rewatch those games. They are barn burners. They're exciting football. And Cam Ward, wow. The most exciting football games to watch, if I would have told you last season to follow just like 3 teams, it would probably be Colorado, Miami, and Arizona State. And maybe Kansas there at the end. But those 3 teams probably had one of the just the quality of insanity for the games. Like you talk about, and not just Colorado wins, right? I know y'all think I'm partial. Go watch the K-State game. Colorado K-State is phenomenal. Miami, Arizona State has had some barn burners with Cam Scatterbo going crazy. Like, it was phenomenal football to watch. So to watch how insane those games got and to see Cam Ward doing the bullshit he was doing, I would describe it because I was following those games and we made post game reactions to him. And a thing that I would consistently say, similar to him, is that two things. Cam Ward, I think he says it better. He plays like he don't give a like he plays like I don't care, dog. And he plays. Cam Ward has a phenomenal arm. Like, one of the best, probably the best in this draft class when it comes to both talent and then comparative when it comes to power. But he thinks his arm is even better somehow. I don't know. Like, in his head, I don't know how you have a better arm than Cam Ward, but in his head, he has it. And he makes throws that sometimes his arm can't catch. And it's not because he doesn't have a great arm. It's because he be having some crazy ideas. Like, why are you throwing behind, like, across your body for the 8th time? Well, it's because one of his best touchdowns was him rolling left, crossbody, threading through 3 people back of the end zone. He can do insane things. It's just that the arrogance of, not only am I going to throw a crossbody interception, I'm going to come back and just throw a 1-2-step read beam to my tight end for an 80-yard touchdown. Like, I don't care, dog. And not only can they not with me, I'm unwinnable. Okay? And I know certain people who are a lot less arrogant and a lot less brash than Cam Ward get a certain rep. And they get a certain, certain things attached to them. But we're not going to talk about that. What I do want to talk about is the second part of that. And as a Texans fan, I'm not sure if you can tell, I gotta make fun of my Titans fan. As a Texans fan, I gotta tell you, I'm shivering in my boots. And it's not because I don't think CJ Stroud and them boys can't get after you. No. But I'm just so used to dealing with a Titans organization that is so incompetent that they'll lose the game for us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anytime we play the Colts, the Texans play the Colts, we'll lose the game, right? If we play the Jags, something insane might happen. We play the Titans, they probably going to lose the game for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Unless we decide to absolutely pee down our legs, which we've done in the past, right? Texans have done that in the past. But the fact that the Titans now have Cam Ward, who, without being able to throw a pass, is already impressing head coaches, already showing up early, and as he should. He's the new guy in town, acting like he is the new sheriff in town, and like he can't be denied. That's what you love to see. If you're a Titans fan, not if you're a Texans fan. You love to see the way that the culture has molded already around Cam Ward. Not if you're a Texans fan. You love to see, if you're a Titans fan, the fact that you got Alec Ayamar. Boy, these names be kicking the big summer gun from Stanford. You got to be happy. You got to be happy that you got Xavier Restrepo. If he, hopefully if he makes 53-man. I don't think Cam Warren's going to allow him not to make the 53-man. So, it's one thing to have good players, right? And okay, cool, we got talent. But this is one of those, this is a Jaden Daniels pick where it's not really just about the player you get, but it's about getting the player for the city, right? And I think, sadly, as a Texans fan, I have to keep reporting on this. I think the Titans got a guy. I really do. Now, hey man, we ain't gonna talk about uniforms today, cause y'all be saying I don't know what I'm talking about, XYZ. But what I will talk about is them Stroud boys. You know about us. They know about us. Don't act like you don't know about us, all right? I ain't scared. Willie Anderson. You ever heard of him, son? You ever heard of the Sting? What about the Lock? Huh? How about the psychopath named Kamari Lassiter? Do any of these motherfuckers ring a bell? I'm just saying. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Cam Ward. Now, I think it's important to talk about a few different stats from Cam Ward's past. And in doing so, we're going to go deep into a little an analyst view of Cam Ward. And this was an analyst view January 7th. So this is before any of the smoke. This is right after the Pop-Tart Bowl. And if we have time, I really want to go back and I want to re-look at the fallout of the Pop-Tart Bowl, because I don't know if y'all remember, but people were talking about Cam Ward crazy. People were talking real crazy about Cam Ward. But if we have time, we'll get into it. Before we do that, why do I feel so confident in that he is not just a good football player, but sadly a culture changer that might make the Titans someone who will mess up the AFC for my beautiful Texans? Let's hear it from the head coach.
I had that conversation. You know, there's everybody always starts out of the gate pretty hot, you know, but you start to get in the actual routine and you understand how long of the season it is and the marathon that it is for young players from the time they finish the college season to the time they finish the NFL season. I've made that point. Just again, I'm not telling him what to do. I'm just making the point that there's a lot ahead of him that he's not aware of yet when it comes to this length and the week to week grind when it comes up for these guys. And it is a marathon. I mean, this is a long run for these young players, and all of them have to have the same sort of mindset that you're trying to get better every day, trying to put the work in that's required. But there's also that element of this is going to go all the way into January every day for the next however many months. And there is a bit of pace that's probably required. So they learn, they figure it out. But you try to help them and give them advice and point it out when you can. But I have no problem with guys trying to get the work in.
Coming in at 5 a.m., understanding that, like, this is a head coach who has, or it is under the construction of rebuilding a culture. So, you can speak to maybe the challenge of it, but I think the advantage of having somebody, as singularly focused as Cam Ward, someone who is idealistically going to lead that team for a very long time, the fact that he's already coming in with a certain level of intensity, professionalism when it comes to getting things done is great to see, and it's great to hear from Titans. But this is what I mean. It's the small stuff, right? And it's the same reason why I'm fond of Shedeur Sanders, right? And it's that. Look, we can sit here and nitpick. I got stats I can nitpick about. I can say that Cam Ward only 20 dropbacks against a ranked team last season, and they were all against Iowa State in the Pop-Tart Bowl, right? I can bring up that. I can bring up some other stats of that's for another video. But I can bring up stats to, hey, Cam Ward's this, he's that. We can do this all day long, right? I can make him look like the greatest of all time or a mid quarterback that benefited off of scheme and great offensive line. But what you can't deny is the way people speak about these players, right? These young men, both Cam Ward and Shedeur, consistently, when people are around them and they say things about them, they say they're infectious, they say they're professionals, they say they handle things a certain way. I will separate Cam Ward because Cam Ward's descriptions come with a certain an air of intensity when it comes in both on the field and operating, right? There's a certain level, almost like an Allen Iverson, where where it's like, I'm a pit bull in this motherfucker. Like we gonna get after it, right? Jimmy Butler-esque. I don't know why I'm always comparing basketball players. I don't know if y'all know my job involves other sports, so like sometimes I'll be anyway. But yeah, very, very like, I'm about to get in y'all boy. Like this is what it's gonna be, right? So I think, dogs in different ways. It's just different types of dogs. You feel me? Shedeur is another type of dog. I don't know what kind of dog he is, but Doberman or something. I don't know what you say. But Cam Ward's coming through like god dang Tennessee pit bull, son. Walking down street, he goddamn chewing on Vanderbilt license plates. Okay, with a high yellow right back on his ass. All right, we went too far. I don't know. I don't think that's a Tennessee accent. I don't know where we're going with it. The point is, okay, Cam Ward says draft feedback he received suggests he'd be a day 2 round 2 to 3 guy, right? This is back January 13, 2024, by the way. At the end of the day, I think I'm a day 1 quarterback. I think coming back to college football can solidify myself. Do you think he's making the right decision? Hey, after being number 1 overall pick, I think he chose right. Now, I want to get deeper into this because of the theme of going backwards, right? If we're talking about this is January 13, 2024. The conversation of should Cam Ward even be in there another day, right? Then let's fast forward January 7, 2025, right? We're still 4 months out from the draft. Cam Ward is still presumably number 1. There was like number 1 and then Shador. This is back when Shador was still, hey, he could be the number 1 quarterback. This is what a guy, Corey Kennett, I think he does a really good job with his stuff. He integrates some statistics and stuff along with these write-ups. So I think it's a dope little excerpt to get into. So the 2025 NFL draft class of quarterbacks seems to be a 2-man race. First off, a lot of y'all in my comments be like, oh my God, y'all are trying to act like Shador Sanders is this and that. This is what they were saying. We ain't gotta do it. There are many elements to evaluate at the quarterback position, from arm talent to pocket work to footwork to their eyes and even more. However, one aspect of the quarterback play that has proven to be tricky to correct at the NFL level is ball placement and accuracy. Josh Allen is the poster boy of improved accuracy from college to the NFL level. One of these days, I'll try to hunt something down. However, Allen has essentially proven to be an outlier. I found 2017 Louisville tape, and even Lamar Jackson was working his eyes backside and was on target at an average clip in his college career. So that's where we are going to focus our attention in this article, while focusing on the Heisman Trophy finalist, Ward. Just how accurate is he now? And how should we feel about it heading into the NFL? I've charted every single one of his game from my weighted on-target percentage metric and hope to add some clarity to the conversation. As always, the full season charting Cam Ward and all the other high-profile 2025 NFL quarterbacks can be found here. Let's take a look at Cam Ward. Now, charting a profile of Cam Ward, let's start with the deep ball, okay? Ward was on target on just 18 of 43% of his deep balls. 18 of 43%. I don't know. 18 of 43%. Interesting. Falling in with a 41.86% clip when throwing the ball 25 or more yards down the field. The average among quarterbacks that I've charted over the last 3 years in this regard at 53.91%. Okay. And the average among first rounders is 57.9. Ward misses the mark deep. That's interesting. What about at the intermediate level and outside the numbers? When throwing toward the boundary between 10 and 24 yards, Ward is on target at a 64% clip. The average sits at 65.4%, and the average among top 32 picks is 66.04%. Interesting. Ward is below average throwing the ball along the boundary at the intermediate level. These are the two levels of the field that create the most explosive plays in the passing game. Now, I will add a caveat to this because, again, I was just kind of looking through them and I saw some of the stuff. As much as we're reading these stats, again, I implore you to go watch Miami games because there were plenty of explosive plays. But I think what you'll see that might reflect in those stats is there was a lot. For as much as people say that Shador is a screen merchant, you should see all the screens that Cam Ward was throwing. Like, again, go watch the tape. Please do so. These statistics back those things up. There was a lot of explosive plays, but it wasn't a lot of Cam Ward throwing the ball for you. I don't have the stats, but I bet DJ Lagway has more deep ball connections than Cam Ward. Not the point. That does not mean he wasn't creating explosive plays, because there's something to be said about how lightning quick his processing is. I think there is something in this article about it, but I think there's a point that might add an X factor to explosiveness. But let's continue. So, all right, boom. Ward is below average of both from the standard set, by not only previous first round rounders, but every quarterback I've charted since 2022. Over the middle of the field, Ward does connect at a 76.92% clip. He is above average here. The average among every quarterback charted is at 70.53%, and the average among first rounders is 74.2. This is a promise of hope for Ward. His ability to both rifle and layer footballs over the middle at a high level. In the short game, Cam Ward connects a little over 85% of the time, with the average sitting at 86.58%. So he's about average at getting the ball out and accurately when he needs to find a check down or work the short game. That gives Cam Ward a total weighted on target average percent of 61.21%. What quarterbacks closely align from a WOT perspective? One way to compare this class to other classes is by comparing the weighted on target. These a lot of big words, son, to those of the previous classes. Over the past three classes, the weighted Watt percentage sits at 64.97. The average of first round is 67.25. As we've discussed, Cam Ward is 61.21, which is well below the standard. Two other first rounders were taken over the last 3 years with a below average weighted on target percentage. JJ McCartney, who I thought was a check down merchant, so take that for what it is, who did not play for the Minnesota Vikings this season, he tore his ACL, and Michael Penix, who I do believe in because he torched my Texas Longhorns. So, I mean, that's two sides of the coin right there, because I don't believe in J.J. McCartney. I do believe in Michael Penix. But J.J. McCartney, I've seen some of the balls that he's thrown, and he's like amazingly efficient on third down too. So I think that's something to point out too. But hey, you know, and that is kind of where I'm getting at. Like there's certain ways we can present statistics and present certain context of these numbers to make things seem a certain way. So just take that with a grain of salt, right? While more work needs to be done to evaluate Penix's ball placement and accuracy this season, he did finish with just a completion percentage of 58.1% with 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Anthony Richardson, oh God, don't bring up Anthony Richardson. Drafted by the Indianapolis Colts, would be the only first rounder with a lower weighted on target percentage than Ward. Richardson's weighted on target percentage came in at 60.48, as he is still sorting out accuracy issues at the NFL level. And then I'll add the other caveat with this. When you talk about Anthony Richardson had like 4-6 like starts underneath his belt compared to Cam Ward, who was starting at Incarnate Ward and Wazoo. Like, he has some of the most starts, as an active player when he was ending his collegiate career. So again, something to point out, right? Drafted by the Colts, would be the only first round picker, yada, yada, yada. At this point, Michael Penix is the closest first round pick to compare to Ward from a weighted on target percentage perspective, but we do not have enough data to really signify how that has translated for him at the NFL level. And I think that's interesting because it's important because it proves one of the talking points that was kind of lost in all of this, and it's that this was a weak quarterback draft, right? That's kind of what was said about this draft. It felt like until, the cookies were settled and crumbled, and we won't even get into this. We don't have as much time, but I do want to point out how y'all were talking about Cam Ward in that Pop-Tart Bowl. But just to point out, look, this was a weak draft class. Okay, we can all admit that. I've admitted that in multiple ways. Let's not lie and say Shedeur Sanders was not the number one quarterback for multiple people ending the season. Let's not pretend that Cam Ward fumbling one of the easiest paths to the college football playoffs, right? Let's not pretend like those things didn't happen, since y'all want to point out all the rankings, all that stuff. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say the only ranked player Cam Ward played last year with the best offensive line in all football. Now, one of the worst defenses too. Like, we got to talk. Defense was terrible, but we do have to talk about. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? For as much people, people want to talk about strength of schedule and this and that. Don't be surprised if Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward have a similar trajectory. And I don't even mean that in a negative way. I just mean that it looks a little different. You feel me? But let's not try to paint certain things and act like it was what it was when the way it was what it was. You feel me? But I think Cam Ward's a dog. I think he's gonna be all right. I don't think the stats tell the full story. I think being a dog does a lot more for you. So you be great. You be phenomenal. Like this video if you like it. Dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe if you like football content. Hit the bell icon. Be great. If you're live, don't go nowhere, son. But if you're not here, continue to be great. What's the next time? Peace.